Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It has been a year since the first lockdown was announced here in the Philippines, and I think we can all say it has been quite a life-changing experience for the whole world. Alam ko, ibang bansa, meron ibang safety measures for them to prevent the spread of the virus. I have always been curious to see what it is like in other countries and how they are trying to prevent the spread of the virus. So in this episode, I have asked my lovely sisters to document their experiences in the countries that they live in. So we are here to show you what it is like here in the Philippines, Hong Kong, Japan, Germany, and the UK. We started the year 2020 off here in Metro Manila, Philippines, and the Tagaytay Cavite region with the Taal volcano eruption. It was devastating and it was quite a shock even for Metro Manila because the ashfall even reached the northern parts of Metro Manila. None of us expected this to happen, and it took a while for us to recover. And while we were recovering from that, the news of the virus was also coming up. By the end of January, the Philippines had their first case of COVID-19. I remember when the spread of the virus was first reported in the news, and I really didn't think anything of it. I didn't think it would turn into a pandemic. But then the lockdown started to happen, and cases started to rise. My husband found out he had COVID just days after the first lockdown was announced here in Manila. It was a difficult experience for him, especially because the world wasn't prepared for it yet at that time. I have had other family members have COVID, and also my husband who has had it twice already. I'm just really thankful that they have recovered fully, and now I am seeing more safety measures being taken in other countries, including here in the Philippines, to prevent the spread of the virus. Simula na tayo sa Pilipinas 1 year after our first lockdown. I'm going to be showing you what it is like here and what preventive measures that have been taken ever since. A basic rule when going out into public is that we have to wear a face mask. Here in the Philippines, we have an extra measure that we have to take, and that is to wear face shields. Here in the Philippines, we have different types of face shields. The one I'm wearing in the mall is one type. We also have more sturdy acrylic types like this one right here, as you can see. And it is made of a harder material. And we also have this type, but it's recommended to wear a full face shield. But this one is an eye shield, as you can see, and people wear masks right under it. So we have different types here to suit your OOTDs of the day, but this is an extra measure to help prevent any exposure to the eyes. The Philippines has also gone into different stages of lockdowns and curfews. Stages have ranged from enhanced community quarantine to general community quarantine, and they have different restrictions depending on the area and also the type of community quarantine we are under. When the lockdowns first started, it was very strict. Public transportation was stopped for a while. Shops were also closed except for the essentials such as the supermarkets, and we weren't allowed to travel within the different cities within Metro Manila without a pass. Between the cities here in Metro Manila, we had police controlling checkpoints, and they would be checking to see if we had any valid reasons to go travel between the different towns and cities here. At first, I wasn't able to go visit my family in another city because we had these checkpoints, but eventually the government sectors here really tried to help us as business owners as well to travel between cities, so they provided passes. Just a few weeks back, children under the age of 15 and citizens over the age of 65 weren't allowed to go out yet. But I think now they are a little more lenient. If you want to travel between different locations here in the Philippines, say for example to another island, most of the time they require you to do a swab test every time you want to travel. Swab tests here in the Philippines range from 1,800 pesos up to 12,000 pesos, depending on where you go and what type of swab test you take. When visiting public places such as the malls, we are required to use a QR code to scan our contact tracing details. At the entrance of the mall, we are required to scan our QR code and take our temperature. And then in each store in the mall, we're also required to scan and take our temperature. Every entrance and exit of a store has alcohol available to sanitize your hands. And they also have a one-way system in most stores as well. So one way going in, one way going out. They've made sure to implement a flow in stores as well by putting signs on the floor, pointing in directions that they're allowed to walk in and making it a one-way direction so people aren't passing each other. Of course, once in a while you do get people who are not following the directions, but it is just great that they are trying to put these rules into place. There are also social distancing signs and reminders to help us see how far apart we have to stand, such as this one on the escalator and here in the stores as well when lining up. Public areas also have a restriction as to how many people are allowed in the store at once. Sometimes you're only allowed 3 people in the store, and other times if the store is a bit bigger, then of course they can have a bit more people inside. Also in public areas where there are booths, such as a bank or a cashier, there are acrylic dividers so that there is extra protection between the staff and customers. I've seen in public transportation, especially jeepneys here in the Philippines, that they have limited capacity as well as dividers between each passenger. Before we had gyms and swimming pools and also resorts closed, but now today we are able to go to these places such as the gyms by setting appointments to prevent close contact between people, and we are now allowed to go swimming or go to resorts, but of course with social distancing. Sadly, over the pandemic, we have had a lot of businesses close here in the Philippines, and some are temporarily closed until things start to get back to normal. But at the same time, we have had a lot of online businesses boom during this pandemic. A lot of people started to discover that they can make things at home and, make a living off of it. Even myself, I started making things like donuts, which I've never done in my life before. And you could see a lot of people were supporting each other by making baked goods and cooked food, and having these things delivered by motorcycle delivery here. Another example is that we started making food for genies, and people started to order instead of going out to restaurants since they were either closed or they didn't want to go out. And it was just really good because everyone was supporting one another. Surprisingly, we have seen other businesses open up during the pandemic, and more people are starting to go out on weekends. However, during the weekdays, it is a little quiet in malls. Another great thing is that we have implemented a lot of cashless payment apps here in the Philippines. Use these apps to transfer payments, and also you can pay with these apps in the store. So you just load it up and basically not even have to carry cash around anymore. So these are a few of the safety measures that we have here in the Philippines. Now I would like to hand it over to my ates who are living in other countries to see what it is like over there. First, we have Ate Cinry in Hong Kong.
Hi YouTube, so this is Cinry reporting from Hong Kong. I'm going to be showing you what we do here in Hong Kong in order to combat or in order to control the spread of the coronavirus. So I'll show you that in a second. As most of you would already know, Hong Kong has roughly about 7.5 million people in population and is one of the most densest cities in the world. So to combat the pandemic, it's pretty scary because we live right next to each other and there's not much space around for us to move. So the government of Hong Kong has done pretty well in terms of controlling it. So far, I think today or yesterday we had about 17 or 16 or 13 cases. So how does Hong Kong actually do that? Okay, I'll show you a few bits. Okay. So now we're walking. A couple of places are extra busy, and some restaurants that could show you how we do it here. As you can see, there's a lot of people walking. We still try to keep our distance from each other though, because you don't want to contract the virus through interaction. And there you go. So you'll see everyone's wearing masks. It's mandatory for everybody to wear a mask. When outside, it doesn't matter what kind of mask you wear, just wear a mask. Otherwise, if you're caught by the police not following rules, then I think you would be charged about 5,000 Hong Kong dollars, which is roughly maybe 30,000 pesos or 36,000 pesos if I'm not mistaken. So that's for like one-time charge. Recently, a lot of shops have had a lot less people, but obviously because of the social distancing. As you can see, everyone's wearing masks. Everyone is literally wearing a mask. We're walking in one time. This is like a residential area, but you see a lot of people hanging around, still wearing masks. Old people, young people, working class people, everyone's wearing a mask. Let me show you how it is. So this is a dim sum shop. Alcohol in front. Temperature check would either be a stand or. So okay, we are in Causeway Bay. It's a bit empty for Causeway Bay because it's a shopping district, and we are at Kikambo, which is a ramen restaurant. As you can see, they have a lot of like signs that says welcome for takeaway because a lot of people are using takeaway orders. And if you see this is the QR code for when you go to a certain restaurant or a certain place, so you can log where you've been. Okay, there's a big one. Yeah, so you can log on to the app of where you've been, and then if when you enter, there's like a lot of partitions, and so yeah, that's it. We'll go in later in a bit to see how it is, but there's not much really to show how we're separating things, but I think it's mandatory for every premises, or like mandatory for any restaurant to have those white partitions or those little partitions to somewhat show that we're separated or we're socially distancing from each other when we do dine, because you have to take your mask off. But yeah, I'll show you some more videos around the shopping district in Hong Kong. I mean, it should be one of the busiest areas one of the most busiest touristic areas in Hong Kong, but at the moment it's a bit dead for a Saturday. We're currently at a gym. So I'll show you. These gyms have classes, but they're still socially distancing from each other. A lot of posters saying please keep your mask on, or machines separate from each other. They put these borders to separate people from each other. Just so that you can minimize the contact.
Now we have Shally sharing her experiences in Germany.
Hi guys, my name is Shally Lees-Godito. I'm one of Jasmine's sister, and we live here in Germany. It's around Berlin area. We're in the north part, so we call it Niedersachsen. I'm here in Germany for about 3 years, and I am married, and my husband, hi, Timo, and of course I have a daughter, Milet. We're going out and going for food shopping. As you can see here, today it's a little bit gray, cloudy, and cold and snowing. This video is about how Germany cope here during the COVID, and actually and what normally people do when we go out, dine out or dine in, but we don't have that. I will explain later. Once we step out the house or we go out, I want to mention how the first wave COVID here, we used to wear this washable mask. They don't care about that before, and now the government is announcing that we have to use a surgical mask, or the FFP2 or the N95, any non-washable mask that we have to use. So what we have here in our corner is typical alcohol, which is like hand sanitizer, and the mask. All right, so we're gonna go out. So here in Germany it's still winter and it's icy, snowing, it's cold. So here, as you can see, I didn't get that part, but the Amazon delivery just delivered us something. Normally we used to order online. We're here in the car. We're on the way to the supermarket. Normally they don't really forbid the family to go in, even though it's locked down. It's not that super strict, but we have to wear masks later on once we step out the car. Actually, like 15 to 20 minutes drive, depending on this weather. It's really snowy hard, and we have to drive carefully. So normally during the lockdown, what normally we do at home, sit, eat and drink, and just like play games, watch TV, and yeah, I do a lot of video calls with the family in the Philippines, Japan, and Hong Kong. I used to work before every day, also at nighttime, but at the moment the restaurants are closed and we're only allowed to do takeaways, so there's no dinner times. So my husband got 2 push cart. Yes, it's 1 per person. So it says here medicine mask. This is the type of mask that they're allowed, so you're not allowed to use other type of mask other than what it says. So I'll show you the cashier over there, the one I vlogged there. Until we're here outside, I can still show you. They have this the wrap, like a plastic protection for during lockdown. Normally before they really shut down everything, but not the supermarket. Felt before the 2 weeks quarantine because the family was got positive and we were like connected to each other, and I actually had anxiety that we might run out of food because the rest of my husband's family is in quarantine. Where we live is a little bit away from the city, 30-minute drive, and this town doesn't have a supermarket around like in a radius of 2 kilometers. It's more than that. So basically, even the online buying stuff like the fresh food, it's impossible. I did it, but I have to wait at least a week to buy the fresh vegetables and fruits. The food deliveries we still get on it, but it's limited, right? The restaurants around us is very limited.
It's more now. Was like 2 in the start, and now it's like 10 where you can order.
Yeah,
but it's only kebab and pizza.
Yeah, that's the only thing that we could get, kebab and pizza, and we have to wait at least an hour or 2 hours. So we had two lockdowns, but it's very long because they keep on extending it. So now we have
this one is from since middle of November. So they extended it now until March 7. So it's gonna be 3 months, 4 months even.
Yeah.
And it's probably not the end.
Very mild lockdown. So they're just preventing restaurants to open, all this hardware, gyms, mostly all the recreational facilities besides the supermarket.
Next we have Milet in Tokyo, Japan. She has sent me photos and videos of her experiences. As you can see, they have dividers in public transportation. She has also told me here around Tokyo Tower, it is usually very busy, but now you can see there aren't that many people walking around. In their stores, they also take their temperatures upon entry and also going into the offices. They also have different signs that help people and remind them of the safety measures in the public areas. Last but not least, we have Jodie in the UK. She has shared a few photos with me of what it was like before their lockdown that they are in now. They were allowed to go out and do their grocery shopping just as long as they wear their masks. Right now they are still in lockdown, working from home, and I know it has been quite a difficult experience for them because, of course, you're not allowed to go out and do your daily tasks. However, they are coping, and soon, hopefully, they will be out of lockdown. It is interesting to see what other countries have done to help keep their citizens safe, and it is important to prevent the further spread of COVID-19. I would like to thank my sisters especially for taking the time and effort to share their experiences and for helping me make this video possible. Really miss you guys, and I know it has been a really long time since we've actually seen each other in person, and I love you guys so much. Thank you everyone for watching this video. I hope it has given you a perspective on what it is like in other countries. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe, follow me on Instagram, hit that little bell button below, and share this video with your friends and family. Always stay safe, guys, prevent the spread of COVID-19, and I will see you again in the next episode.